Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Royal Rhetoric. Yours truly with three of the kings. All right, hey, it's still four of us, and we give God all the glory. Thank y'all so much for allowing us to be a part of your Sunday afternoon as we come with a great topic this Sunday. And again, Happy New Year again from the last show. Hey Kings, how y'all doing?
Everything is well. Everything is well, man.
Amen. It is well with your soul, right?
Oh yeah.
When peace like a river
River, yes, sir.
attendeth my way,
Yeah, come on
Hey,
now. Yes,
when
yes.
storm clouds like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to
Me to
say,
say it
it is
is
well.
well.
well,
It is well with
Come
my
on.
soul.
with my soul.
Yes, with my
I'll take up a
soul.
collection now. You can also send donations to my Cash App.
All
You
right.
can send it directly to my physical address, but if you don't know that, just instant message me and I will meet you at said corner store and we can get a Diet Pepsi. It'll be all right.
Man, say Diet Pepsi. All right.
Yeah,
What
we
about
trying to
you?
Diet
get
Pepsi.
What's up, Quiet Storm? What's good? We hear from God's mouthpiece.
Oh
And
man. Yes, sir. Everything is good. I mean, it's well with my soul too. So
all
looking
right.
forward to a great topic today. Heavy is the head. I think we're going
Yes.
to get into some very
Salute.
important, crucial information, man. Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely.
That's
All
the
right.
music. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming up who it is or so, but again, thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Well, hey, look, without further ado, we want to dive right into this or so because it's King. King. Hey, what's up, King Danny?
oh,
Hey,
what's good.
Okay.
Danny Ray.
D-Ray.
D Ray.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So hey, this is going to be a good topic today. Again, it's titled Heavy is the Head. We're talking about the mental here, the psychoanalytical or here and there, because a lot of folks deal with a lot of mental anguish. Mental health is a neglected subject. And so we want to definitely, instead of just calling somebody crazy, hey, let's diagnose the situation.
Good stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Because, hey, we,
Mm,
we, we are tackling this royally. So, man, King Dorian, hey,
amen.
you go ahead and take it away, sir.
Well, good evening again, folks. Tonight I reached out to my brothers and I wanted to share with everyone else too that last year was real heavy, and how do we the the song says that, when I look back over my life and I think things over, I can say to myself, I've been really blessed. I have a testimony. And when we look back over last year, a lot of the things that we've had to overcome, it weighs heavy on your head. Um, how are you mentally dealing with that? What's good, Los? How are
Hmm.
you staying centered and balanced um, within all of the things that we have going on, not only from last year, but this year as well? COVID has put a lot of weight and strain on us. I know that a lot of us are fatigued from wearing masks, preparing and also getting ourselves ready for what we hope would be a release from a lot of the requirements and the parameters of what COVID has done to us. It's limited us in a lot of ways. But during this time, especially last year at the passing of my wife, and what I wanted to do for myself was to work on my mental health. And that included receiving counseling services, but I was also doing the work myself. There was a lot of and I don't want to make it seem like it was cliche, like, I was in my prayer closet, heavy, doing doing those things. It really wasn't that serious in that regard, but I did seek out resources to help me, and I found help. Prayer was one of those, but there were other resources that were out there. So what this evening is about is sharing those resources and also helping to define um, how you can improve yourself in the midst of this, and what tools can you pack in your book bag that you can pull out at a moment's notice when you find yourself in the midst of like the trouble. So heavy is the head, and to complete that, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Mm.
I like that. I like that exactly.
Amen.
Awesome. Okay. Well, again, we're going to have Dr. Edwards on. She'll be coming on a little bit later or
Okay.
so, and we're looking forward to again you all joining us and yeah. Any questions or comments or so, um, because this is a serious topic that we have, and we definitely want to deal with it. So, and see if we can get some sort of clarity on it. All right.
So I mean, like, what tonight we really want this to be interactive. So if you have not only comments, but if you also have something that you want to share in regards to a resource, a book, poem, music, or whatever, share that out in the chat. Then we can also distribute that out there amongst the people that we have on our respective pages, whether it's on social media or the people that we meet. This is a topic with a lot of different pieces. And so I wanted to begin, of course, like, in a kingly manner is with scripture. And there's two. So the first one is Philippians 4:8. And Ron, if you'll pop that up there. Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, think on these things. And our mindset is the beginning of that. So what are you doing first thing in the morning? I don't know if many of our viewers or listeners or the people who are following us right now, if there is a trend that you have first thing in the morning to get you ready for the day. Now, I'm gonna be honest. The first thing I do in the morning, outside of just like doing my Lord, thank you for another day, I immediately get on my phone. I start watching TikTok. Like I'm just keeping it a buck. And what has happened here in the last 2 weeks is that I have been late to work. Well, not late, but like rushing because like I will get lost in the sauce. I will just keep swiping down, just trying to find like something. And what ends up happening is that I just get lost in the swipe. You know what I mean? And it became a habit. And so there's an old adage that says that it takes 21 days to create or break a habit.
Right. I heard that.
Right. You know what I mean? And so I ended up, I've created a habit. So when I get up first thing in the morning, the first thing that I was doing, now this is 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks. So we're not even talking about 21 days because I also got to talk about what I was doing. Yeah, I got one more week before it becomes like a habit. Mm-hmm. But in that time, in these 2 weeks, I wasn't doing what I was doing 4 weeks ago. So 4 weeks ago, I found this book and I was like being intentional about getting my mind right. My mindset was heavy and being prepared for the day. I was getting up, I was drinking my water, I was doing a little bit of exercise, and then I was just practicing mindfulness about being intentional about what it was that I was going to do for the day. And during those times, I was fully prepared because I was having some rough days, but my morning had started me off to be able to be prepared for it. And so, I mean, guys, just kind of chip in, chime in too. But I can actually see myself kind of falling into basically a trap of just not being intentional about my mindfulness. And it's actually affecting my mental awareness and acuity of those things that are going on through the day.
Man, yeah, that is definitely I can relate, because we have time is very precious and valuable, and so we can get caught up in some of the trivial things like with TikToks and other things that may grab our attention and not realize, okay, man, I don't wasted enough time on this. All right, and I'm losing valuable wealth here because time is wealth, and I'd rather have time. Time is more valuable than money, because you can always make money. But again, with that time, as you say, we have to be intentional and then kind of force ourselves, and that's not an easy task, because it's like, I'm sometimes like wanting to read something of importance, or maybe read the Bible, and then my mind may drift elsewhere. It's like, man, it's like, okay, now how do I stop this? Either take a break or whatever. I don't know, but it's easier said than done.
Oh yeah, it's your favorite word, Ron. It's about
what I'll say.
Yep.
Intentional. So just to address what y'all saying without saying, I'll say that personal development, mental health, all of this, it's a fight. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We have to fight for our mental health. We have to fight to develop personally because um, when we try to change, when we're changing for the better, there's all types of other forces that come in to try to get us off of that path. Um, sometimes we will have like this paradigm that keeps us in a certain thought process. And when we start making moves and start making adjustments, doing things outside that paradigm, um, just outside forces, just different things come in. It's like temptation presents itself, like you with the swipe. Like, okay, you knew you had to get to work, and you know how much time you had to get to work, but you got kind of lost in the swipe, looking for whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's one of the biggest things that 2020 had taught me is just like, man, personal development and to maintain discipline. It can be a battle, man. It's a fight. So we got to be prepared to battle in this one, man.
Exactly, exactly.
Battlefield
Hey,
of mind.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's it. Danny says, "Hey, as an entrepreneur, after thanking God for waking up, I'm on my grind. Whether it's making music, doing research, or doing social media for clients. Just like in the wild, if I don't hunt, I don't eat." Yes, Danny.
That's good stuff.
Exactly. Yes, I can relate
Mhm.
to that.
Yeah,
And
but Danny sounds like he's on it. I want to be like him when I grow up.
Yeah,
mhm.
That's a
yeah.
joke.
But
It's
I
supposed to
wanted
be
to ask Dan. Yeah.
that.
I want to ask Danny a question about that comment that he said in. Like, because you said you wake up, you thank God, then you're on your grind. Okay, whether it's making music, doing research, social media, whatever. You listed these things. Do you have any type of structure or
Mm.
schedule to these things, or do you just kind of go about it randomly, saying that, okay, I just need to be busy doing something?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Hey, but we
Okay.
tank for Tua.
Mhm.
So now we gonna win with Watson.
Hey, but that's a good question right there, though. Well, yeah, yeah, Daddy. Yeah, if you
Hmm.
heard that or so, man. Because yeah, it's all about a structure and things, man.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hear what Carlos says right here. Yeah, I'm saying yeah. One of y'all could read if y'all want to.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's and that's big, Los, too. You know what I mean? Well, like I want to talk, I want to tap on that the transparency portion here in a second. But what Los is saying right here in the bottom is like he's cutting down his scrolling time maybe by 10 minutes. And why is that important is that you have set a level of expectation for yourself and it's measurable. Because a lot of times in regards to goals or whatever, we'll say, okay, I want to make music, and that's a broad goal, but there's nothing specific in it that you can actually measure to show that you are actually obtaining or getting to that level of where you're trying to get to. And so I really like that you put down there that you're trying to cut down your scrolling time maybe by 10 minutes, because that 10 minutes is a time that you can say it's my time. I'm going to do with it what I want, but that's the max that I'm going to give it, because then I'm going to get on to something else. The transparency portion, one of the resources I've just actually obtained during this process here, maybe about a month or two ago, is a book, and it's called The Four Agreements. And the Four Agreements says the first one is don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, be impeccable with your word, and then do your best. And so when you break down each one of those tenets of the four agreements, taking anything personal in the beginning, it typically it talks about, and for me, it was what other people thought of me or what I thought of someone else. So it was always about don't take anything personal from what someone else said to me. But then the more that I began to practice, the taking it personal was directed back at me. So I can't take personal if I waste my time. and I don't get my goals done because I created that. I was the one that chose to waste my time scrolling. So if I have to rush to get to work, which means that I'm gonna be a little bit behind on the things that I'm doing, I can't take personal if something significant happens in a day that wasn't expected, and I have to put down those things that are necessary because I was the one that put myself in that position. So taking it personal is also, it's not one directional. It goes back and forth because the one time that I mess up one of the agreements, I messed them all up. So if I do take it personal, then I'm not impeccable with my word. I end up making assumptions, and then I'm not doing my best. So as I began to use these resources, and this is about the transparency part that Los had put in his comment. The transparency part is that when I am able to say that I'm totally 100% responsible for my actions, I'm also responsible for the recourse of what those actions are. And so the transparency part is me taking full responsibility and saying my bad. And then also as we say in our spiritual walk, we'll say that we're not just going to say we're sorry, but we're really going to repent, because there's a difference, right? Because repentance means we're going to turn all the way around. And so if I just say I'm sorry and I continue to do the same things over and over again, I'm lying, which means I'm not impeccable with my word, which means I'm going to make assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take something personal, which means I'm not going to do my best.
Hey, man, that was very good right there. Hopefully that answered your question, Carlos, for sure. Man. Danny, I guess he answered the question here earlier because he says, I believe it's the lane God put me in. It doesn't seem like work, but it is. So I'm always on the lookout for something. I'm never too far off from an iPad or computer to make some things happen. Yes. And also he says, yeah, he says he bugs me and Will with music ideas also. Exactly. Hey man, I enjoy it. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Makes
Oh
it.
yeah. So check this out, man. Because I think you kind of still glossed over the question per se. Because one of the things that I find out that helped me mentally, when I'm doing it consistently, is when I'm actually making a schedule for myself and things that I have to do. It helps you sort of organize your thoughts. Now, most times on your job or whatever, the job gives you a schedule. So the job kind of tells you, okay, at this time you do this, you do that, you take a break here, you take your lunch here, or whatever. But like when it comes to things outside of that, like Danny says, being an entrepreneur, being a father, being, a producer, whatever, I think it's very important for us, when talking from a mental health aspect. Um, and I'll use myself as an example. The times when I had a schedule and I kind of stuck to that schedule, I had alerts and alarms and different things saying, hey, at this time you need to be doing this, at that time you need to be doing that. You have free time here. All of those things help with my mental health. So now check this out. So pre-COVID, right? There were certain responsibilities I had as far as like, I knew I had to get my daughters up for school at a certain time, drive them to school, come back, had a little time before I went to work, right? So I was the type, I knew every morning, okay, my daughters had to get up at 6:30. I knew I had to prioritize me time and prioritize time for me mentally. So I'm like, okay, they got to be up at 6:30. So I got to be up at 5 because I got to spend time in my word. I got to spend time in prayer to prepare for whatever comes up today. Now, this is pre COVID. So now when COVID hit, okay, now I go from having to wake my daughters up at 6:30 to get them at school by like 7:30 or whatever the time was, to them being at home and not having to start until 8:20. Now that's the difference is a couple hours. So what happened was my schedule got knocked off. And so I stopped following those disciplines that I had. And by me not following those disciplines, even though I had a schedule somewhat, it was a lot more lax, and I saw a decline in my mental health.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, so that's kind of like the point where I was making there. It's like, hey, look, you have all this stuff going on because when you have like five, six, and seven different things that you want to do, you'll find yourself shooting back and forth here and there and really not being effective in either one of them. But when you take your time and you focus a specific time on this one, you know, you can keep your mind off of the other things for a little while. And then
Man,
when you go to that next thing, your mind is there, you know, mental, and that helps the mental health, man.
Yeah, I'm about
Go
to,
ahead, man.
I'm about to definitely go there with you on that. Basically, having a schedule or so, like okay, for those who may not be entrepreneurs, so because it's like you have to train your mind like okay, I'm gonna do it at this time, I'm gonna do this at this time, as opposed to when we was working on a job and it's like okay, I know when what time was my break and I knew when I had to be back and all. So um I guess that was kind of preparing us for the
Hmm.
entrepreneurship role, and so we have to
Yeah.
intentionally do it ourselves, make ourselves do it
Hmm.
as opposed to somebody else
Yeah. Outside of that work time, I
outside of.
mean, because, you know,
Hmm.
many of us, I guess most of us still work regular jobs too. So, you know, you don't have to worry about a schedule when you're there. But
Right.
I'm gonna just throw this out here, and this is just for me. One of the challenges that I feel God gave me was to restructure and reprioritize my life.
Hmm.
So I just kind of, I was all over the place, doing a lot of great things, doing a lot of good things, but it wasn't the
Hmm.
God things. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the things. I spent more time, more energy, and more effort on things of a lesser priority. And I didn't realize how that was affecting my mental health.
right. You
So
know,
I'm in the process of restructuring and reprioritizing things.
when you're talking about your mental health, I think for me, the big takeaway for me is that the prioritizing and the restructuring was to get myself back in balance, so that those things that were assigned to me
Mm,
and that are assigned to me, I'll be prepared for them. I
mm,
I was I was definitely all over the. I mean, last year was just hard. I mean, Laura's passing
yeah.
put a lot of strain on the responsibility, the load that I have to carry. And there were rites of passages that my kids had that were still going to go on in spite of Laura's passing and also COVID. And they were
Hmm.
hard. They were hard. And I had to make a decision about, whether or not we were just going to cave and just, cave it in, stay in the honeycomb and not do anything. And my kids were, and I'm not going to say that they were adamant, but it was those things that they were looking to do. And I had to find like the way to be able to get those things accomplished in a way that was still going to keep us safe. And that part
Hmm.
was what was, it caused a lot of anxiety because it was a lot of what ifs. Like, what if we do this and something happens? And so when you were talking about the restructuring and the reprioritizing, what I did in our household was that the very first thing that we did when COVID hit was that we started putting up protocols and parameters as to what we're going to do if one of us tests positive. Like what was going to be basically our shelter in place, what were going to be our parameters. So where are our supplies? What are we going to do if things get really bad? And also talking to my kids about, what they can expect. So when the situations happen, we're prepared. So that added a kind of a power or control to something that is outside of my control. And when I was able to do that, then everything
Hmm.
else just started to line up. I didn't have that to worry about because we've already
Okay.
prepared, right? And so then what ends up happening here in the last month or two, I think that we've had like 3 or 4 scares where we were exposed, whether it was intentionally or not, and
Hmm.
we knew what to do. And so I was able to address those anxieties and those fears. I definitely love that the R square that I'm just going to call it R square, the restructuring and the reprioritizing, so that you can get those things out of the way. Then you can move on to the next parts of your assignment.
So you
It takes off stress and pressure.
Yeah.
Amen. Definitely. And again, so we're pretty much saying that a structure has a great deal on your mental health, and that's something that we have to be intentional about doing and forcing and sticking to it, being disciplined with it, because it's easy. There's a lot of distractions that, again, it may not. They may be good and some may be bad. Whatever. I mean, I guess we have to fight those vices. And I mean, yeah, we just have
It's
to fight.
laziness. I mean, that's the ultimate vice is laziness, man. We take for granted that we're gonna be strong enough mentally to be able to attack anything.
That's
We
good.
take for granted that you can do it
and do what
until
you're supposed to do.
right until the heavy thing happens.
Wow. That's good, King, right there. Again, we're talking about mental health. It's titled Heavy is the Head. We're going to have Dr. Edwards be coming on shortly. And so if you have any questions or any comments, any suggestions on mental health or how you have dealt with it with your own personal mental health, feel free to go ahead and put it in the comments, because we definitely want to glean from your knowledge as well too. All right. But because everybody has some form of mental health anguish here and there, and nobody's perfect. I don't care, even if they look strong or so. We're all dealing with something mental.
Oh yeah.
Yes. All right.
And I want to encourage. I just wanted to real quick. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron. Just real quick. I just want to encourage anybody who's out there listening. And I said it before, probably on another show, but check with your job. If you working or whatever, check with your job and insurance, see what resources are available as far as like counseling and different services like that. Because I'm telling you, I did it, and I found out that my job basically pays for counseling, and I didn't know how much I needed mental health counseling until I started going to counseling, and certain things were pulled up, and they were able to pinpoint certain things about my patterns of behavior that I'm able to break free from. And if I would have done this years ago, man, it's no telling where how far along I could be. Because I'm gonna tell you this now. What I found out is that, man, I was wearing the mask way before COVID hit. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I was wearing the mask way before COVID hit, and I'm like, wow, I don't even know who I am. I don't recognize me, because I'm looking at even the person that I saw in the mirror. I'm like, yo, who is this guy, man? And so, counseling will help you get to that, man.
Carlos says with this whole new normal of COVID, he had to retrain his mind and body to a new way of moving and grooving, like William said. He started with counseling as well.
Yep.
Now, and you know what, counseling is just like us not even wanting to go to the doctor. If you think about it, we look at counseling in a negative light. And
counseling is like, I've never been one to commit to the gym, but for me, counseling is like going to the gym, because I have my scheduled sessions.
Mental exercise.
Yeah. So, and we'll hit what's good, Jose. When Will started talking about counseling, I started off with grief counseling through hospice, and it was a free service, and they actually they provide you with 13 months worth of counseling sessions, however many that you need. And so I'm at the tail end of that. And so now I'm also working with my job to start with those. And then I'm going to go to a actual paid service later. Because as Will said, there was a lot of things that came out of my counseling sessions that really have helped me, not only myself personally, but also in the relationship that I'm in. What's up, Aaron? With my kids, I've got my kids in our counseling sessions. Big shouts to Rachel, Elijah, and Noah. And it's I'm excited about the processes that we're in right now to be able to address some of these things. I think the biggest takeaway from one of my sessions was that I was able to, as Will said, wear the mask. I saw where my mask was created, and it
Wow.
helped define why and my how of how I treat people or how I was treating people. And just for clarity, it was sixth or seventh grade, and we always had. I'm riding a school bus, and there was a basically my bully. He said a joke, and everybody was laughing except for me. And I had to get off of the bus. I had to go home. I was crying. My dad was like, "Why was I crying?" I couldn't tell him because there was things that was said that I didn't think that my dad was old enough to hear, which is weird. Like my dad is an adult, and and I made up my mind that day. I was like, you know what? I'm always going to get people before they get me, and so I created this persona of being like a jokester. Like I'm gonna get on you early. Like you're not gonna get me first. And I did that, and it's in banking terms, it's compounded interest. So the more that from that one start of who I created up until I'm like now my birthday, I'm 45. I got close to 39, 40 years worth of this made up person, and I was tired. I was tired. I was tired of having to be two different people. And so I had to lay that man down. And this is even after salvation. I had to lay that man down.
Right.
Man had to be laid down. And that by far the most freeing thing is just to be able to say things and not be concerned. And it still is work. So what I'm getting ready to say, I don't want to make it seem like I've just like evolved as like this super high intellectual person. No, this is still work. But I've gotten to the point where I can say things with intention and purpose and not feel conflicted. I've gotten to the point where I'm really working on not taking anything personal, because sometimes you have to say the hard thing. And in saying the hard thing, I can't take personal if I have to tell you the truth. And I also can't take personal if you have to tell me the truth. And it's but laying that man
and
down.
if it hurts.
Yeah, and it hurts. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the freedom of not having to remember who I was with someone at a particular point, and then like coming back to it later, like all of that is gone. So it is the ultimate lie, the facade, the mask. The ultimate lie is that you're one way with one person, and you got to remember how you were, and then you got to also remember who was around them, and then you got to remember where else you get
That's a
time.
lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. When
Up
you just
here.
be yourself.
It's a lot of work up here, and that's where heavy is the head, man. Because like in that particular instance, in that situation, my headspace was full of whose person was that, who's going to remember, like all of that. It was heavy and it was hard.
Man, that's powerful right there, man. Eventually, I'm definitely going to go to counseling. Even with my own experiences, because it's something else when your childhood can affect you, even in your adulthood, things that you did, and we have to face those demons, or and correct, move forward, because but the greatest obstacle is definitely laying it down and speaking that truth. So it just seems too embarrassing almost, but we got to get past that. Okay.
Yeah.
Carlos said, I knew I needed to talk to somebody because one day last year I was in Dollar Tree and heard this white lady ask about a certain black item out loud. She said, "Where is the black one?" And I got upset and ready to go off, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
Man.
And in our sessions, we call that awareness. because you can't change until you're aware.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Can't change until you're aware.
Yeah.
Man. Uh, uh,
And
again,
Dollar Tree at that. Boy.
I
Yeah,
know, right?
the Dollar Tree.
Oh, but hey, he was about to go off over an item that's $1. It was $1 loaves.
Only
Whatever
$1.
it was, it was just a dollar, man.
Yeah, man.
It
With
was, it was
But that's
compounded.
real though.
It
yeah,
was compounded. It was compounded. Remember
It was
what like,
compounded.
it was
That was the
compounded.
last dollar.
Yeah, it was the last dollar.
That last dollar.
The last dollar.
man. Oh man, heavy as the head, y'all. Hey,
Heavy as the head.
man,
Yeah, it's
man.
like the straw. What is the straw that broke the camel's back? You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? That one straw, that one particular incident was really nothing. It was a light thing,
Right.
but he was already carrying so much heavy stuff with him to that one little incident, black and white. You know what I'm saying? He was about to set it off, man.
Yeah,
And
but
that's real. I mean,
yeah.
it happens, man.
The
Right.
battlefield of the mind. You know, it's and
Battlefield of the mind.
it affects our decisions in life. A lot of it does. Man. The truth always remains the truth, so you don't have to remember the persona you were putting out.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
That's exactly.
You say what? It
Yep.
sounds good.
It sounds good. Yeah.
That's it. The truth is what makes you free, man.
The truth is what makes you free.
You're free
Right.
to be yourself. Yep.
But now even the Bible says, what is truth? And Jesus said, thy word is truth.
Thy word.
Thy word is truth.
Yeah.
And so what, like with that particular statement right there, what comes to my mind all the time about like the persona that I had created, this person, was that person could not be changed by the truth. I was the one that was going to have to be changed because that was a created thing. The created thing was not going to be affected by that. I was going to have to. It was.
Oh, hey, Rick. Okay.
That was the projection, or as my cousin calls it, that was my representative.
That was your okay. That was your representative. Okay.
That was my representative. Yeah.
Danny says, I think last year caused a lot of us to suffer from PTSD, especially seeing black men dying in real time, like George Floyd. Yeah, definitely. And
yeah, man,
that one hit.
Yeah, that one hit hard. I mean, if y'all could, y'all should go back to our very first episode and see our whole, like, you could see that we were
it's good, just
like done.
Emotion.
It was, like it was that George Floyd that played heavy on the head for sure.
Man, definitely.
That's what the show birthed out of, right? Right after that following weekend. Yeah.
So again, you couple that along with our past experiences and things growing up, and hey, counseling is very important, guys. We just have to go and do it. Bottom line, it's because we're going to end up hurting.
If you need it,
I think we all do.
Yeah. We'll
but you got to admit that first.
Yeah, right. You have to admit that you have a problem or have an issue.
Exactly. So here's the thing, and I say it like this first. Once I started going to counseling, I realized how much the people around me needed also. Right? I realized that. But there may be people that I know that won't. They don't think that they need it. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, and this is going to sound weird, but there's nothing wrong with having something wrong, right?
Come on now.
So at the end of the day, there is something wrong, but it's even more wrong to have something wrong and not use the tools available to get it right. And so that's what basically counseling does. Now, it's not that you're crazy or whatever, but you've had certain situations and things that happen, and you have someone from a different perspective that's a trained professional that can help you sort of reprocess some of your experiences, because ultimately we process our experiences, but we may not have processed them the best way. So a lot of times what counseling does, and mental health, professionals, they help us sort of reprocess things that we've been processing incorrectly.
That's
Because,
good.
like Ron mentioned a little earlier, when he talked about things from his past, things from his childhood affecting him now, it was the same thing with me, and probably everybody who ever goes there, goes to a counselor, they'll see that it's things from childhood. And I had to go back. I had exercises to where I had to literally go back and speak to that young child inside of me and forgive him and
Mm,
say, hey,
Wow.
you were, you were a child, you were a teenager when you did that. You didn't know any better. So, hey, I forgive you. And let's, let's keep it moving from here.
right.
And so, like, we got time to get it right, man. And like the scripture says, man, God, He's able to redeem the time, you know.
Mm. Okay, you can
And
buy
that's where we are right now. Once you go counseling and getting some things right, man, God is able to redeem that time and just make some things better. It's all about getting better and doing better.
yeah. When you know better, you do better.
Definitely, definitely.
And
Yeah,
Hey,
you
go ahead,
should.
Dorian, man.
You
You
should anyway.
well, when Will and he's eloquent tonight, by the way, folks. Like Will is on his loquaciousness.
I
He's
would say so.
in
It's off
his
dome.
delivery.
Off the dome.
um, and
Don't
so
come
Danny,
at
it's funny you put that up there because I'm gonna tell a story. I'm gonna tell a story. But first, Will in the
uh,
statements that he made was about gratitude. Dr. Edwards, peace,
okay.
man.
Hey, Dr. Edwards.
Good
Hey,
Welcome.
evening.
Good
How are
evening.
you
Good evening.
all?
Good, good.
Great.
Good.
Awesome.
doing great.
Awesome. We're glad to have you on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, yeah.
No problem. Yeah, go ahead, Dorian.
Well, I was going to talk about gratitude, and when Will was talking about taking the time and effort to actually go and seek out services, um, the biggest takeaway that I found for myself was to say to the inner child in myself was one, that I love you, which is what I think we take that for granted a lot. Is telling ourselves that we love ourselves, telling myself that I was sorry,
Mhm.
telling myself that I forgive myself, and then also saying that I thank you. Those four tenets come from
Mhm.
Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian term which talks about self-elevation. And I learned even from my grief counseling session that hospice even uses it to help family members in the grieving process. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then goodbye. And so it's those kind of things that can help a lot by speaking to yourself in the form of gratitude.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. Again, we're here talking about mental health, and we titled it "Heavy is the Head," because we have a lot of things that's going on mentally within us that's weighing down on us. And um, Dr. Edwards, would you like to speak to that? So,
Sure. What I heard Dorian talking about is what I often gift my clients, and that is self-forgiveness. Working through self-forgiveness, forgiving yourself for the things that you, first and foremost, that you had no idea about. We oftentimes hold heavy on ourselves, things I coulda, woulda, should have done. Well, you couldn't have done those things if you didn't know about those things. So we're carrying a lot of shame and guilt about things that we didn't even know about.
Yeah.
So, extending yourself some grace and some self-forgiveness about the things that you just didn't know about. You couldn't do anything about them if you didn't know about them. So that's what I heard Dorian talking about. And also self-compassion, just having that compassion towards yourself. All of those things that you talked about, Dorian, go together. Self-forgiveness, self-compassion, And, not only being able to give that to ourselves, and once we're able to do that, we're also able to then give that out to other people.
Right. Dr. Edwards, first, I see you got pearls on, so you got Chucks on too?
No Chucks today. No Chucks today.
She said, "Not today."
Nice pearl. Yeah. Nice pearl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could you talk about the essential steps that persons can take to having sound mental health?
Clearing the clutter. The title is a heavy head, I believe it was. Heavy is the head. Clearing out the mental space. Sometimes we just have to retreat to ourselves. Anything that goes on with ourselves, it always comes back to us. And when I say that, it starts with us and it comes back to us. So taking care of your internal, whether that's your internal thoughts or your internal emotions, your feelings, attending to self. We have the buzzword, I'm calling it a buzzword because it seems like that's what it is nowadays, self-care. We got to indulge in self-care, self-care. That's the buzzword. And what that really means. And what I find is that a lot of people attribute self-care to the external self-care, buying ourselves some clothes, going on a trip, getting nails done, getting hair done, getting feet done, things of that nature. And those things are fine too. But what I encourage is to couple that with also caring for the internal self. And that is the thoughts that keep you up at night. Some people describe them as the racing thoughts, the heavy thoughts. Taking care of those things. Where are they coming from? What are some of the things that I can put in place that help to calm those racing thoughts? Healthy things, that is, that help to calm those racing thoughts, that lift those heavy thoughts. What are some of the things that, soothe those very heavy emotions that I carry in this part of me? How do I, normalize, if you will, or lessen those feelings. So we have to begin to do things to take care of those parts of ourselves. And that requires some self-introspection, some self-accountability, some self-responsibility. And a lot of times we just don't want to admit when we are not able to manage certain parts of our life. Because what does that mean if we admit that I'm not able to manage, this area of my life? Then does that mean that I'm a failure? I'm a man, I should be able to handle this part. Or I'm a woman, I should know how to, do this over here. Mm-hmm. Well, we all have to be open to the fact that we are beings who continue to grow through learning. So if you're not willing to admit that I'm not as keen as I need to be in this area of life, and I see that because I'm not doing so well. In fact, I'm failing miserably. Can I admit that to myself? And once I do that, can I go ahead and reach out to somebody that I may know that can give me the information and or tools and skills for me to become better in this area of my life?
Now, is that, and that's very well said, what you said. We were talking about structure earlier. So could a lack of structure be contributed to a lot of our mental anguish and mental health as well?
The lack of structure, lack of discipline. Absolutely. Absolutely. Those of us who enjoy that part of life, having no structure, you got to take the good with the not so good. So not having structure means that I can, go and come as I please. I can make choices and decisions that are not so heavily influenced by other people. They're my own. But then there's also a consequence to that. The other consequence is that I don't get to experience other things from other people. And guess what? I live in a world with other things and other people. So if I'm not experiencing those other things that I engage with on a regular basis, then how do I learn how to, become a part of what is going on outside of me? I don't. So I continue to be in that cycle that I've created for myself. So taking care of self, to bring it to connect that to taking care of self, we have to be willing to interrupt that cycle that we've created for ourselves. That is, if we want to do different, if we want different, if we want to improve, if we want to do better.
Awesome. Well, again, guys, we're talking with Dr. Edwards here. And again, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to ask her, Dorian, you pretty much taking the lead on this. So definitely, I want you to address whatever questions you have that you would like for her to answer as well.
Well, Dr. Edwards, I put in our chat a quote from a person, and I wanted to just get your take on it. It said that, well, this is what she said. Her name is Deborah Ashley. This is from a podcast about having it all. She says that her definition of having it all is letting go of the obsession of perfection, accepting that nothing is perfect, and building a life that accepts, celebrates, and honors her limitations as a human being.
I agree. Just that first part alone, I was already shaking my head. Absolutely. We tend to believe that success and happiness and things are connected to perfection, things going well. If I'm not smiling at the end of something, then that means that I haven't achieved or I'm not successful. Wherein we have to be open to the fact that my limitations also teach me things as well. It teaches me that there's still room for improvement. It teaches me to be in a mode, in a mindset of self-acceptance of the things that I'm aware of, not aware of, things that I have, things that I don't have. If I remove the confines that I put myself in mentally and emotionally, and that being, if I will, how she put it, the obsession of perfection, the confines of that, then I'll be able to see different points of view, different avenues for resolution, different ways of living, different ways of appreciating the way other people live. And that in and of itself not only honors the self, but is very freeing of the self, that I don't have such confines to live in. What is perfection?
Right.
What is perfection? If I were to ask each of us this evening to define what perfection is, we'll all have a different definition. And so if I subscribe my definition of perfection to you, William, or to you, Ron, or to you, Dorian, without telling you, and we're in a friendship or even a relationship with one another, you'll be chasing something that you know nothing about.
Right.
Wow. Beautifully said, man.
Yeah.
Man,
That's heavy.
Yes, that is. Hey, Kitty, how you doing? Again, we're talking about mental health here. If y'all have any questions or comments, feel free to post them on here while we have time, because we want to see everybody do well. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was you unpacked a whole lot in that, and I'm also going to jump off on something else too. There was we talked about that part about like letting go of the obsession of perfection, but then also too, could you speak on the expectations that we have on emotions? And I'm going to lead the witness a little bit, and then like if it's not right, don't chop my neck off on live TV.
Never that.
But so this is what I've learned through my own sessions is that, like, for example, if I have an expectation on my feelings of happy, and if I place the I'm gonna say that I'm sad. If I place an expectation on the emotion sad and I don't get happy, I become more sad because it didn't happen like I wanted to. And so what I've learned through my grief counseling, and then also through my own study, is that I have to learn how to be, like, allow that emotion, that feeling to stay in itself and continue to just move forward, and then recognize that emotion is what it is. It's just an emotion. It does not stir me. It does not deter me. It does not make me. It does not break me. It is what it is. And then just continue to move forward in my thinking.
That you got it right there. What would you like me to add? I will say, when you mentioned being sad and it didn't turn to happiness, I would say the one question that I would ask is, was it supposed to turn to happiness right then and right there, or is it supposed to take some time? So it speaks to making sure that you are being attentive to yourself in the here, in the now.
Right.
You know, this is what is going on with me. Acknowledge what is going on. Allow it to be, like you said. Experience it. When you allow it to be, you allow yourself to experience that emotion. And a lot of times people are not sure what that emotion is because a lot of us are emotionally void. You know, we don't allow ourselves to have the range of emotions that humans come equipped with. Because if it's on that not so good end of the feeling spectrum, we're trying to get rid of it, push it down, push it back, you know, just obliterate it because I don't want to experience what comes along with that not so good emotion. But if we allow ourselves to experience the accompanying emotion to a situation or to a person, then we not only learn more about ourselves from that emotional, affectual standpoint, but we also learn more about that person or that environment that we are involved with. So learning to be still, just be, and experience our emotions for what they are allows us to grow with ourselves, but then also it informs how we interact with the rest of our world too.
Your answer puts a lot of like push against what we learn in church, because every time that we hear Jesus, we're supposed to get happy.
Right.
Every time that we step into the door, we're supposed to like leave the problems behind. And we have been what's the word? We have been domesticated and programmed to not deal with the issues at hand. Like, what is that emotion? Why are you upset? Why can't you, or like the why can't yous, like why can't you go back and say that you're sorry, or why can't you move from it? Because we haven't really addressed it as such to be able to understand it at all. We just want to pray it away.
Or I'm sorry it away.
Or I'm sorry to go.
Yeah, I just want to, because we want to get rid of it. We want to move past it to go on to the next thing. But the only thing we're doing is we're compounding what we already have going on. If we're already dealing with stuff and then now this has happened and you're telling me, oh, okay, let's just pray about it, or let's go on ahead and we're going to move past that because, you know, we as whatever Christians or whatever, we are supposed to all just get along and that's what we're here to do. Right. But I've been hurt. I've been pained. I've been, you know, whatever that emotion is, I have yet to deal with it. And you're asking me to move on from it.
Right.
And if you don't move on, then you're harboring offense or guilt or whatever, and that's not Christ-like. It's like you have to automatically forgive, but isn't forgiveness a process as well, right?
It is. It is, Ron. It absolutely is. Every life is a process. Everything is a process. If we take the time to, as Dorian said before, just be, we will understand that everything that we do is a process. What we're doing right now is a process. What makes it a process is that we recognize that it's not something that comes and goes. Even when we stop recording and we stop going live, what has been said here today is still going to resonate with us here, and if not even here. And we are going to respond to that how we see fit. So you see, the process still continues even when the live is done. So life is a process. Self-forgiveness is a process. Grief is a process. Mourning is a process. Everything is a process. We just have to pay attention to it. And the only way we pay attention to it is to be in the here and now. We're not thinking about what happened 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago. We're not thinking about what's going to happen in 5 minutes, what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Appreciate what is going on right here and right now. What do I have control over right here, right now, that I have within my power to do something about? If I am sad, I have control over whether or not I sit in that sadness, experience that sadness. Or I could say, you know what, I don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to go and grab me a slice of cake. That makes me happy. So I can, get some happiness back. It's a choice, but it's still a process.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well said. Awesome.
Wow.
Hey, Dorian, do you have any more questions? Because we got to wrap it up real soon here.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah,
what Dr. Edwards, what I would like for you to do for us is, if you can, I know this is kind of short notice, but what are some podcasts, some books, poems, or whatever that a person could get their hands on that can get them in the practice of mindfulness, of intentional cognitive realignment, or any of those things that's going to help us to get back to our divine selves, to get back to our kingly state, our queenly state, so that we can be our best selves?
Well, the first thing that we can do, and that's without picking up any podcasts or books or anything, is just to be more mindful of ourselves. Recognize yourself, acknowledge yourself as a human being, one that comes equipped with emotions, that comes equipped with your own uniqueness, and that it will look and sound and feel different than anybody else. Paying attention to you instead of everything around you. And I know a lot of people say that's difficult because I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a caretaker, I'm this and that, but you have the choice. We just talked about it's a choice. You have the choice to decide whether you take 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 hours to dedicate to you, bringing it back to you, starting your day with you, ending your day with you, however you choose to do it, it's a choice. So acknowledging yourself, and you can do that without, the external stuff. Now, if you want to add some things in there, one that comes to mind that I have been sharing a lot lately because I've been getting a lot of male clients is Men to Heal. It's a book for men to assist them with getting their emotions and not necessarily intact, but acknowledging them as emotional beings without the part of emasculating them. It's written by a local author in out of Richmond, and he's gonna probably knock me over my head for forgetting his name. But I see the book. I have like 6 copies of it. I use it in my sessions with men. I even adapt it to, sessions with women as well. But it helps you to get out of your own head. We talked about, headspace today, getting out of your own head, unpacking those things, putting it on paper. We process things differently when we see it on paper. So even if it's just jotting it down, even if it's taking out the note section in your smartphone and jotting out what it is that you're thinking, what it is that has you stumped at that moment, what it is that has your head heavy, what it is that has your heart heavy. Put it out, get it out. Our head, our body, our spirit is a capsule. It can only hold but so much. We have to begin to release and empty it at some point. So again, starting and ending with self, acknowledging self, paying attention to self, recognizing those thoughts and feelings that keep us up late at night or even interrupt our day, and getting them out.
Nice. Thank you.
awesome.
You're
Awesome.
welcome.
Yeah, we want to thank Dr. Nakia Edwards, of Abundant Solutions LLC, and there's her website, abundantsolutions.llc.com. If you're in the Hampton Roads area or just Virginia, period, right?
Yes.
Okay. Feel free to go and visit her. And yes, we stress mental health, to take care of your mental health. There's no shame in going to see a counselor. All right. No, you're not crazy. All right.
Nope.
I mean, and it's unfortunately because we've used that as a negative connotation back in the day and picking at folks. And again, I apologize for anything that I've said to anybody that may be watching back in the day or so, because hey, things do come back around for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Carlos. Yes. Hey,
To God be the
Thank you,
glory.
Carlos.
yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Danny, as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're definitely gonna have to have you back on, Dr. Edwards.
Of course.
Yes, because you are definitely making a difference and the impact in our community. And so, yes, we need to let the world know out there. Hey, William, any last words? William, hey.
Oh man, just another great show. I just want to again encourage everyone out there to see what resources are available for your mental health. I mean, heavy is the head, you know, and if you can't hold your head up, you can't keep your crown on.
I like that.
Yep.
Right,
I
right.
like that.
Amen.
Yeah, King. Yeah, exactly. Yes, we do need Jesus.
and therapist. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, well, you know, because we always stick on that Vicky Winans song. Hey, as long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. Well,
Right.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, he also puts
Yeah.
people in our space and in our midst for us to reach out to, and it's up to us to reach out to it. Don't miss the boat. Don't miss your rescue because you stuck in old ways.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's in the word too. To say there's safety in a multitude of counselors. So
Right.
counselors, you know, they're there to keep you safe mentally and, you know, really save you from yourself.
Right.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
Hey, Dorian, go
And I'm
ahead.
done. I had to throw that tidbit in there.
there's an expression that says, "Be mindful of the time between dog and wolf." It's an expression that's taken from an old worldview of when the sun is setting. The view of the animal is skewed because the sunlight blinds you. One can't tell the difference between the dog and the wolf until the animal is up close. What's interesting is that the dog and the wolf are just the same animal. It's just that one is more tame and the other one is more wild. Don't forget that. You are a best friend to some and a go-getter hunter to others. What's really dope is that there are people around you that know that you're both of them.
Wow. Well, is that a?
I was gonna say I'm still trying to process it.
Yeah.
That was deep.
Man, yeah, that was deep. Man, Dr. Edwards,
like
was there any last words that you want to say as well? I'm sorry.
I would just say for you guys to please keep doing what you're doing, and I will be back on as a guest whenever you have me. This is what I like doing, and it's very important that we continue to push the narrative that mental health is for everybody. We all have mental health, so therefore getting assistance and help to take care of our mental health is important. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to coming back.
Oh, we're gonna call you.
Oh yeah,
and everything. You're gonna get another call.
Yeah, definitely.
Bring it on, bring it on.
And for those who are watching, she's on Facebook. All right, and so again, go look her up, Dr. Nakia Edwards, or go to AbundantSolutionsLLC.com. All right, and hey, you matter in the kingdom of God, so don't compare yourself or your ministry to anyone else. Just do what God has called you to do, and you'll be just fine. Okay. We won't be here next week because it's Super Bowl Sunday. So go Bucks. Enjoy the game. And so, hey, well,
That's
you know,
Florida boy right there.
Exactly.
Boy,
That's the only reason. That's the only reason. I wish it was Miami.
I'm going for my homeboy.
Yeah. Yes, but enjoy your family and be safe out there. We'll see you the week after.
All right.
Thank you.